Hi and welcome again to Tech It Out, and to this, the review of what I believe to be the best interface for YouTube creators and podcasters, and indeed for many other things, the Tascam MiniStudio Creator. Hi and welcome again to Tech It Out. Not so much your usual unboxing experience this time, as more or less this is all that comes in the box itself. Apart from a USB lead, you've got your assortment of owner's manuals in different languages, so off to the drawer of obscurity with them. You have some packing and the box itself and the item that we're looking at today, the Tascam MiniStudio Creator. Now we're going to take a closer look at this, at all the ports in it and all of the adjustments that are included, and then after that we'll be looking at the software that's included, which is probably the most important part of this. So let's have a look at the unit then. Now Tascam themselves are not unknown in the AV industry. They make decks of all sorts, from interfaces through amplifiers and mixing decks of very high quality. This is one of their first forays into the podcasting and creator YouTube type of industry, and I've got to say it's a very good interface indeed. So let's have a look around the actual interface itself and see what we get. Now if we start at the bottom here, you've got your monitor input for your headphones. You can plug a standard set of headphones in there, or proper studio monitor headphones. The second two, as you can see by the little symbol, are for mainly either another set of headphones or a gaming headset. Now if you've got a 5-pole plug on your gaming headset, you just plug it straight into the first one there, and your microphone and headphones are delivered through there. If you've got the separate plugs for headphone and microphone, you just plug them obviously into the two sockets there. The next socket is actually an input for an MP3 player or your mobile phone or whatever else you want to deliver music into the unit with, and using that you can actually mix music into the actual audio that you're doing. Now one of the advantages of this is that this could actually be used as a mini DJ unit, so you could run a disco from it. You could plug your MP3 player in there with a preset number of tracks on it, and the software that comes with it, which we'll be looking at later, actually has a built-in deck, so you could talk over the music as it was playing, introduce new tracks and talk about the music itself, and it will lower the actual volume of the music so that your voice comes across stronger. The final switch on the front there is to switch it between creator and broadcast mode. We'll look at that a bit more when we come to the software, which actually lifts this unit to a whole new level. It's quite a powerful piece of software. If we look at the bottom, there's nothing much on there, and the same on the sides apart from some branding. The unit is made of plastic, but it's a very high quality plastic. It feels quite heavy and sturdy in the hand, not flimsy. On the back you've got your outputs for your studio monitors. Then you've got a power switch. Then you've got your main USB input/output for your PC or Mac. It's compatible with both. And then you've got a DC 5V input from a micro USB. So if you're using this just with, say, an MP3 player or your mobile phone, then you can power this either from a mains power source or indeed from a mobile battery. Just plugging it in there and you can carry on and have it completely mobile. And it does in fact have little strap holes on it, so you could put a strap on it and carry it around your neck, so you could have the completely mobile disco if you had well, basically you'd only have the USB coming out. On the front then we have the two inputs for your microphones or indeed musical instruments. You've got XLR and TRS, they're dual ports. They are powered, so that you've got phantom power, 48 volts on both. So you can switch between 48 volt phantom power, dynamic microphones and musical instruments. Each has its own volume, so you can preamp it, so you could use this again if you wanted to play a piano or a guitar and sing over the top and mix your vocals together all in the one unit and then into the software in the PC. You next have a reverb knob, which again will come to more in the software, but it does obviously what it says it does. It adds reverb to the vocals. On the bottom line then you have your volume for your outputs on the back there for your studio monitors, and the volume for the headphones, which controls both the main headphone port and the secondary, the mini headphone port there. Now the next thing we have are three what they call PON switches, which are basically effect buttons, instant effect buttons. You can program them with different voices, different noises, and you can include an effect into your recording. You do have to have it in broadcast or podcast mode to do that. They do actually mix through the headphones, so you have to have the headphones as well as your output. This is one thing that I've discovered. You can't actually have your output through your main PC speakers or whatever. You have to have them through the headphones or of course the monitor outputs. Once you do that and you're in creator mode, you press the button and you can have a round of applause or a squeak or a rattle or a dog bark or whatever you want. You can program it, and indeed you can record your own, put them into the folder that they're kept in, and then you can assign the button to your own particular sound effect. There are other effects which we'll come to in the software again later, and this button controls that. You can switch the effects on and off as you want. And then finally you have the on-air button, and that lights up, as do all the PON buttons, and that actually of course tells everybody that you're broadcasting or indeed that you're recording. The last thing that you see are the levels. So you have a level left and right for the inputs, and there is in the software the ability to mix those two into a mono output. So if you're only using the first input, you can actually output mono to both channels. So that's the main unit then. So the next thing that we need to look at is the software itself. So now I'm recording on my Rode NT1A through the interface, and when you turn the interface on, this is the software program that pops up. It's currently in easy mode, and you can't really tell much difference at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press the effects button so that that's switched on as well. Presently we're in expert mode. Now I haven't seen a great deal of difference when I switch between these modes in the easy mode, but we'll go through them anyway so you can see what they're like. So if I change now to the soft vocal, this is how it makes the soft vocal sound. Then we have the hard vocal. This is how the hard vocal sounds. We have hard spoken. This is how hard spoken sounds. And then we go back to soft spoken, and this is how soft spoken sounds. As I said, I didn't find a huge difference in this mode, so I'll put it back into the expert mode. One thing that this program is good at is updating. The software version, firmware versions are up the top there, and it automatically updates itself, so there's no worries about having the latest software and firmware, and it's all done automatically. No worries about downloading things and finding things. It does it all for you. So that's the basic setup. Now we come to the next section, which is part of the effects as well, which is the reverb section. Now if you remember, there's a reverb dial on the board as well on the main unit. So if I turn that up, and it's about 3/4 of the way now. So next we come to the reverb dial. Now if I change this to whole, you'll see what it sounds like with it in whole mode. Sounds like a long whole. And again, you can adjust this with the reverb dial on the main unit, so you can turn the reverb all the way down or turn it up as much as you want. We go into room mode, a little less. You go into live mode. Again, it's still quite a bit of reverb there. Again, if I turn the reverb down, you got straightforward ordinary speech. Then we go to studio mode, and I'll turn the reverb up again, and plate mode, and then back to expert mode, which takes the reverb out altogether. Now, there's not really a great deal of difference between the various modes. As you can hear, they all sound, well, just like they've got reverb on. And then we come finally to the 3 PON buttons, the sound effect buttons. And I'm just going to turn up the volume here so you can hear them properly. So if I press the first of the buttons, you get a bit of music there. The second button gives me a heartbeat. And the third button gives me applause. Pressing it a second time stops the sound. So it's very basic, straightforward, and when it's in broadcast or podcast mode, that actually feeds through into the PC and you can record it or broadcast it. When it's in creator mode, you hear it through the headphones, but you don't actually broadcast it. It doesn't go out through the PC. So that's the easy mode, the basic mode. So we now turn to the expert mode. So if I click on expert at the top here, you see that you have a full equalizer here for each of the microphone inputs. So we're using microphone input 1 at the moment. Now I am still learning this, so it's not set up perfectly yet, and I can imagine some of you will be saying that it's not actually trimmed properly or whatever. Do excuse me, I'm learning as I go, so hopefully it sounds okay at the moment. The equalizer, as you can see, it has a high, mid, and low. And then it has various frequency responses you can adjust, and it also has a low cut filter, which I have turned on because I find it helps take away some of the sound of the PC's fans going, so it actually helps to cut them out. You have a threshold and ratio there, you have the tack and release, and also another gain button, so you can increase the gain on the microphone. Then we come to the effects again. Now, some of these are a bit strange, I've got to say, and I'm not sure how many times I'll be using these, but I'll show you them all the same. So the first one then is chopper. So this is what my voice sounds like in chopper mode. The second is echo. So this is what it sounds like in echo mode. The third is radio. This it sounds like in radio mode. And then the strangest of them all, the male and the female.
This is what it sounds like in male mode.
And this is what it sounds like in female mode. You can adjust these so you can bring them down, so they sound, well, stranger in a different way, or you can turn it up and it sounds even more strange. So that's the effects. So I will just finally just go back to turning them off.
And I'll make sure that there we go, that's all turned down. Now the monitor you can have in stereo, mono, or you can actually turn the monitor off from the panel here. And then on the second panel you have the microphone 2, which is a mirror basically of microphone 1 input. Now we come to the third panel, which is the reverb panel, and again it matches up with very much the dial that we saw on the main panel, on the easy panel. So if I click on hall mode, you'll hear the echo of the hall. The room mode, you got a little bit of resonance there for a room. We got the live mode, which takes most of it out, but just leaves a little bit of reverb in there. Studio mode, which dampens most of it down completely and gives you a nice clean, clear sound. This is what I tend to use, I prefer. Plate mode, and then off altogether. So that's the reverb section. You can adjust the pre-delay, the reverb time, and the diffusion as well. Finally, we come to the bottom section here. You can choose a buffer size for the amount of buffering of the audio that you want. I tend to keep it in the middle where it's defaulted to. The higher the buffer size, the more likely you are to get a little bit of delay introduced into the audio. The lower, the less delay. So 256 I find is to be a good medium. ASIO. I'm not exactly sure what this is. I'm still reading up on it. There is an on-off button. And if I turn it off, the same thing. Now we have the 3 controls next for the PON buttons, the sound effect buttons, and again you can adjust these in this software. So if you want to put your own effect in, you can change the effect. At the moment the first button is set to that, but if I want to change it to something, I just click on it and say let's try hit. I change it to hit and we get that. And again, if you wanted to change the button so that it becomes touch sensitive, you just click on this button here and highlight velocity, and now the applause, if I turn it off first and then press it a second time to stop with the velocity button on, gently first, nice and quiet, and then hard, very loud. So the harder you press it, the louder it goes, basically, when you've got the velocity switched on. So again, there's various adjustments, fade in, adjustments, fade out, the levels and so on, that you can adjust that to, and you can have it to repeat as well. So that's the PON buttons. Again, all you have to do to change one of the buttons is click on it, and then let's put it to conclusion. Let's see what conclusion sounds like. So now the second one is set to conclusion, and you do that. So you can record your own actual musical or audio special effects and just save them as a WAV file, put it into the folder in your music folder on your PC under Tascam, and you can just build up your own library of special effects. It's quite easy. So again, quite a powerful feature that, as I said, I'm not 100% up to speed with this yet. I'm still learning various things that I do keep in line, as it were. I tend to keep the effects button off unless I'm using the effects, so I'll turn that off now. And this is set up here on this side with the low cut filter on to cut out the fans, as I said. I keep the effect off. I turn the reverb sender off. Direct monitor I keep it on stereo, and the output I can change to stereo or to mono. I keep it on mono because it actually sounds better for the spoken word. The last and final part of it is the output part, which is the mixer. So if you've got music playing on your computer, or sounds such as a game coming in from your computer, or indeed perhaps you're having a Skype call or something, you can mix in your computer sound into your main interface. So you can record an interview over Skype, or you can record an interview with somebody on the other microphone. You can record somebody on TeamSpeak, or you can record the game sounds and the game conversations as well. And then, of course, the last and final slider there is your master slider, which turns the volume up and down, or the other way about, down and up in that case. So that's it. That's the interface for the Tascam. It's very powerful. It's far more powerful than I understand at the moment. I'm sure with time I'll learn exactly how to use it, and if it's not, as I said, set up properly yet, please excuse me, I am learning, and hopefully it'll get set up properly in the near future. That's it then, the Tascam MiniStudio Creator. I highly recommend it for anybody on a YouTube channel. I paid £172, I think it was, at a place called Maplin's UK, here in the UK. It's an electronics store, and you can get it cheaper in some other places, but again, it's very much worth the money. It's about $220, I would imagine. Anybody who's setting up a YouTube channel or podcasting, or indeed even if you're setting up a disco, I think this would be an absolute steal. For now though, from myself, thank you for watching.